At the age of 18, she was dragged around by her father to attend dinners and social events, where he would show off his daughter's beauty to the nobility like he was peddling merchandise. However, even after she became a noblewoman as her father had wished, she still couldn't escape the fate of being used as a pawn. For the sake of family interests, Concetta was forced to sacrifice her personal feelings and watched helplessly as the men she loved walked down the aisle with another woman. Every time she thought about that smile that once belonged to her but had now become someone else's treasure, her heart felt like it was being torn apart. But these two unhappy girls weren't enemies. On the contrary, Angelica, who had grown up being manipulated by her father like a marionette, actually felt envious and compassionate toward this girl who had grown up surrounded by love.
Non hai perso, Concetta, se è quello che pensi. Pensa a chi sei, al nome di tuo padre. Potresti avere qualsiasi cosa, e chiunque.
At that moment, Concetta couldn't understand what Angelica meant. She didn't want to stay in a place filled with memories they both shared, and she certainly didn't want to see the person responsible for destroying their relationship. In the end, she resolutely went to a convent to become a novice nun. However, a few months later, tragedy struck. Prince's eldest son Paolo was inspecting the family estates when his horse became spooked, lost control, and went on a wild rampage, dragging its unprepared rider to his death. Their next meeting was at the funeral. All the relatives came to see Paolo off on his final journey, including Concetta from the convent and the Tancredi couple. The moment Tancredi saw Concetta, his eyes were full of deep affection. Though the grief-stricken Concetta didn't notice, she held tightly to her father, who seemed to have aged 10 years overnight. The rift and resentment between father and daughter had completely disappeared in that moment. From the moment she walked in, she never made eye contact with Tancredi, but he quietly took her hand to offer comfort. This scene was witnessed by Angelica from nearby. After the funeral, Concetta and her father set off for the capital city of Turin. After a long journey, they finally arrived in this unfamiliar city, and naturally, they stayed at Tancredi's residence. Tancredi excitedly embraced his uncle while Concetta kept taking deep breaths to compose herself, though the flutter in her heart remained. After greeting Angelica, the lady of the house, she deliberately kept her distance from Tancredi, acting as if he hadn't noticed. Tancredi continued asking about her family's well-being, but she had barely answered when Angelica interrupted, saying she had arranged excellent seats for them at the opera house that evening. She proudly mentioned that Tancredi was now one of the candidates for French ambassador, and once selected, they would move to Paris.
Parigi, l'ambasciatore di Francia lo sostiene.
Io vi sarei molto grato se avessi il vostro appoggio.
While Concetta's emotions were in turmoil, Angelica took her to tour the rooms, saying that both she and Tancredi were delighted by her visit.
Dice sempre che sei la persona più intelligente che conosce. È sempre stato un diplomatico. Ti lascio riposare.
On her very first day there, Concetta felt like she was going into battle. Though she appeared calm on the surface, the inner conflict and tension were impossible to suppress. That evening, when she appeared in formal attire, Tancredi's eyes never left her. He even quietly positioned himself beside her, and during the performance, he turned his entire body toward her, brazenly staring at Concetta while completely ignoring his wife beside him. Feeling his burning gaze, Concetta finally responded, though her look was filled with bitterness. After the performance, Concetta followed her father to mingle with government officials, completely unaware that someone familiar was nearby, Colonel Bombro, who had been infatuated with her for a long time. The next day, Bombro came directly to see her. Angelica was helping her choose a dress at the time, and since both her father and cousin were out, Concetta felt it would be improper to meet with a man alone. But Angelica reassured her.
Non sei in Sicilia. Le cose si fanno con coraggio a Torino.
Concetta didn't understand Angelica's intentions, but she thanked her for the help nonetheless. Encouraged by Angelica, Concetta met alone with a man she barely knew for the first time. Though they only talked for less than 2 minutes, Bombro was completely satisfied and even delayed his return to his hometown of Milan just for another chance to see her. That evening brought another banquet to welcome Prince Selina. Concetta wore an elegant gown but had no trace of a smile on her face. Tancredi's appearance only made her heart ache more.
Non è stato facile per me vederti in questi giorni, Concetta.
Ah, per te non è stato facile.
Beh, forse tu lo nascondi meglio.
Concetta, sei pronta?
Arriviamo!
Dobbiamo andare.
Concetta didn't lose her composure over these words. Instead, she suppressed her inappropriate emotions and left gracefully. However, at the banquet, Tancredi didn't give up. He quietly told her an address, saying he had something to discuss with her privately. Though Concetta didn't say whether she would go, her emotions were surging like ocean waves. Meanwhile, Prince Selina had just gotten a moment's respite when he noticed Angelica being intimate with the French ambassador. They then left together. He claimed to feel unwell and said he needed to go home early. but actually followed Angelica secretly. To his shock, he saw her and the ambassador enter the same hotel, one after the other.